So today we have a banker who is based out of America, who is based out of New York. So why don't you tell us what did you study and what courses did you take?
Sure. So I studied economics and public policy as an undergrad, and then a few years later, I got my MBA.
All right. So why don't you give us a brief of your career?
Sure. So I did my undergrad in economics and public policy, like I said, and I graduated in 2009, kind of the midst of the financial crisis. So most banks were not hiring. In fact, they were shedding employees. So I worked for a small bank in Philadelphia where I found a spot. And then a year later, I moved to a much larger bank to work on their derivatives desk. And from there, I moved around the country and finally wound up in New York working on a direct lending desk.
All right. So what was your main motivation to choose finance to be a banker?
Sure. So I think growing up and going to college, one of the things I excelled at, one of the things I really liked was math. And finance at the end of the day is just applied math. And so that really drew me in. And then there's also a pretty significant public policy aspect to it as well. My group helps do the funding for governments and nonprofits. So we deal with a lot of public policy matters in addition to the applied math aspect.
All right. So how do you use technology and how do you think technology will impact banking and finance on the whole?
Sure. So I'll answer the second question first. I think technology has been revolutionary in how it's changed finance and the way finance is conducted. At the end of the day, it's becoming a very commoditized business as you have more and more buyers and more sellers. And so as any business becomes commoditized, technology can be used to automate it. So I think there are going to be fewer and fewer humans conducting stock transactions or bond transactions. And I think people will be needed for more creative, esoteric, one-off type situations. But the bulk of the flow will all be, usurped by technology. The first part of your question on how do I use technology, I think it's very ingrained in everything we do. So especially when working with derivatives and statistical forecasting, we use technology to kind of augment our analysis and run different scenarios and iterations that wouldn't really be feasible by hand.
All right. So what skills does it take to be a successful banker? What would you say?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Yeah, sure. So what are the skills that you think it would take to be a successful banker?
Sure. So I think some of the most successful people I know show a significant amount of persistence and kind of aggression in the sense that they have a specific goal in mind and they will track and reach for that goal even if it takes years to do it. So to break into an account, meaning to get a client, build a relationship, and then transact with them often takes multiple years. And the best bankers have the patience and the commitment to continuously follow up with this client over years to get a transaction. So I think that's an extremely important skill.
All right. So what guidance do you have for someone who's for a student who is looking to pursue a career in finance and banking?
Sure. So in college, I think it's important to get kind of a fundamental basis on just math and how the basic bond math and stock math work for all of finance. And when you start working, you'll realize that very little of it is directly translatable or applicable, but having that base knowledge, I think, helps you learn faster on the job. And I'd say maybe the most important advice for someone trying to get into the industry is to meet people who are already in the industry and just ask them questions. Even if they're mundane, very simple questions, learning as much as you can from people who are doing it is the best experience you can get.
All right. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
No problem. Good luck.